Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. It wouldn't be the holidays without plants. The Christmas tree has its place in the home, but when it comes to warming up your wintertime decorations, the poinsettia shines bright. Let's join Leonard Perry in the greenhouse to get a few pointers on choosing and caring for poinsettias and other holiday houseplants.
There's nothing that really puts me in the Christmas spirit more than visiting a local greenhouse and seeing hundreds, if not thousands, of poinsettias, as we see here at Clausen's greenhouses in Colchester before the holiday season. And there's just so many different types. There's some new types in addition to the traditional red ones that you might want to consider. This is probably one of the most different. This is a rose series. It's a red and a pink rose. It actually looks kind of like a rose, very different. This is one that I've liked. It came out several years ago called Monet. A new one, a punch series. There's a sparkling and a nice punch with a little bit of white in the leaves. Traditional white. You can get just a traditional pink. One such as this, which is again a kind of different one with speckles in it. This has a lot of speckles. This is called glitter. There's an older variety called Jingle Bells. It's really nice. And then there are the types with kind of white on the edges. That's called a marble type. And there's red and white marbles. And then for one that's, if you want a really maroon color, there's this new maroon color of poinsettia. So those are just some of the range of the different types. If you can't decide, how about a tricolor mix? Several put together, or even a couple of colors, as we see in the back with the punch series, the ice punch and the sparkling punch, the red and the pink with the white in it. We saw earlier in the small size. So again, if you have a small space or want to put them on small tables, the small sizes, but the big ones, even you can hang ones like this. I often get one of these. They're so full, take the hanger off and just set that on a table, and it just is beautiful there. So as far as choosing them, a couple of other things to keep in mind when you do go out and look for them. Keep in mind that these colored parts are actually modified leaves called bracts. The bits in the center, the little yellow parts, are the flowers. And that's what you want to look at, because when choosing one, you want those either not open or still very tight. If they're all the way open, that means the poinsettia is pretty old and going past, hasn't had the right care. If they're not even there, again, a good side that hasn't had the right care. So you want these little yellow buds in the center, which are the true flowers. Also, look at the foil for a couple of reasons. One is often it hides lack of leaves, or in this case, kind of one-sided. This didn't get enough light on this side. You want one that's balanced all the way around. So look for that. And also, the foil, attractive as it is, will hold water if it doesn't have a hole. Usually they don't. So when you get that home, either take the foil off, or what I do is make a small hole in the bottom, put it in a saucer to keep the water from draining onto furniture, and that way you can see how much water is there. You don't want the poinsettia sitting in water. That's one of the things it doesn't like. But first, to get it home, once you've chosen one, you want to protect it from cold. They really don't like cold that we have up here. Very sensitive. That can make the flowers turn bad. So make sure if they're small, in a paper bag or this sleeve, as it's called, for plants, make sure it's fastened at the top, either with tape or a staple. So a good store will do that. Insist on that, or else your plant may not live when it's coming home. Make sure the car is warm. All these things, remember, it doesn't have a coat on. That's all it's got to protect it from the cold. And then once home, you want to make sure, again, that it doesn't get overwatered. If in doubt, don't water. Keep it on the dry side and make sure it drains well. And keep the poinsettias away from windows or wood stoves. They really don't like warm or cold drafts on them. Other than that, they're pretty foolproof, will last a long time. And one of the things to keep in mind, too, that I often get questions about, even for my daughter this year, is the poinsettia poisonous to people or pets? And the answer is no. That's a myth. It's not poisonous to pets or people. Pets may sample a leaf, like our cats did this year, and with the milky sap in there, they'll find quickly that that doesn't taste very good and doesn't agree with their tummies. But these are not poisonous. And there's some other holiday plants you might consider, though, if you want something different or plants to last a long time. One is the cyclamen. These come in various sizes, from real small to real big. This is actually a miniature cyclamen. There are ones with bigger flowers. It's a regular cyclamen. Again, again, purples, whites, bicolors, reds like this. This is a good stage to buy a cyclamen. You want a few flowers open, a few buds, and look underneath because you want some other flowers coming along as well, some of those buds. If you want one, probably the longest lasting is the Christmas cactus. This is the one I've heard people say they got from their grandmother, they've had for 20 or 30 years. As it grows, gradually repotted every few years, maybe a clay pot, but this is in a hanger, but you can also put it in just a regular pot on the table, and this will bloom around Christmas. Purples, there's whites, there's reds on the Christmas cactus. So again, a cactus, so again, don't overwater this, keep it a bit on the dry side if anything, and hopefully you would get many years of bloom out of this. So, just to recap with a poinsettia, don't overwater, keep them away from drafts, away from windows, away from wood stoves, they don't like that either, and treat as a house plant with as much light as you can give it after the holidays and fertilizer. For University of Vermont Extension, I'm Leonard Perry.
Thank you, Leonard. If you're looking to add some spice to your holidays, how about trying some Vermont-grown saffron? Native to arid climates like those found in Iran and Spain, researchers at the University of Vermont have made a home for saffron in the Green Mountains. Here's Keith Silva to tell us about Vermont's blooming saffron industry.
Inside this flower is the most expensive spice in the world, and it grows in Vermont.
Saffron, the word of saffron, is exactly the dried stigma of Crocus sativus flower.
Arash, how many corms are in the ground here?
A couple thousand. Actually, we planted like 5,000 corms in this line for the research.
Like any crocus, the flower that produces saffron grows from a corm, the root system of the plant. Arash Gela Gala Bapahani is a postdoctoral researcher with the North American Center for Saffron Research and Development, housed at UVM. Saffron is native to the Mediterranean region and arid climates like those found in Spain and Iran. Like every scientist, Gela Gala Bapahani's research began with a question.
Can we grow saffron in the climate like this, like cold climates in Northeast? After 5 years research project, my answer is definitely yes, we can produce it here.
Saffron retails for, on average, $5,000 a pound. A single gram can fetch upwards of $20. Saffron is expensive because the flower defies mechanical cultivation. Not to mention, it takes a lot of stigmas, often referred to as red threads, to create a single gram of saffron.
The yield of a stigma is not that much, and to produce saffron, a gram saffron, you have to harvest like 150 to 170 flowers and then separate the stigma, dry that, and all this procedure needs time.
Harvesting saffron may be labor intensive, but it's easy to plant and cultivate, and it grows as well inside as outside, which is something Gela Gala Bapahani didn't know when he began this project.
When we started to work on it, we thought that the only place that we can produce is like in the high tunnels or in a place which is covered by plastic, like greenhouses. But after we saw people in Pennsylvania that are producing in the field, we thought, oh, maybe it can survive in the field too. And the yield that we got here, that was awesome. That was like higher than other saffron producing region.
Saffron blooms in late October and early November, a time that vegetable farmers refer to as shoulder season, the span between harvesting and planting. Growing saffron would extend Vermont's short growing season and bolster the bottom line.
We want to help small growers to diversify their farm. And saffron is a cash crop. We wanted to select a plant that doesn't have any conflict with other crops that they have. Growers can produce their crop in the summer when the saffron is dormant, and then after they are done with that, come to the saffron field and start to work in this thing.
The work done by Gela Gala Bapahani and his colleagues at the North American Center for Saffron Research and Development at UVM has created a community of growers worldwide.
Because we use organic honey and saffron.
At a conference held in March, 150 farmers, producers, and researchers gathered on campus to learn and to come together as a community.
We are one of the larger growers here in the U.S. now. We just put in 43,000 corms in the fall. And so there's a lot we still have to learn along the way. So this community here in Vermont has been really great because everybody's learning from each other and asking lots of questions, and so it's been very good.
The next step for Gala Gala Bapa honey is to market saffron like another well-known and well-loved Vermont crop.
In other parts of the world, they produce maple syrups. But when we are talking about Vermont maple syrup, actually we are talking about high quality product. And we want to have the same thing for saffron here. We want to introduce Vermont or University of Vermont as a source of reliable information about saffron. So it's a thing that we want to do and we are trying to do at the University of Vermont and with the cooperation with the growers.
Speaking of the sweet stuff, I had one last question. What does saffron taste like?
Tasty. Yeah, it's like bitter, caramelized. It's delicious. You know, in different foods, in different cookies or teas, it has different tastes for me. And I think maybe I'm not a good person to answer this question, but as a word, it's delicious.
The word on saffron is it grows well in Vermont. And thanks to the work of Gala Gala Bapa honey and others, it's poised to become a golden opportunity for Vermont. In Burlington, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Visit the North American Center for Saffron Research and Development at their website. There you'll find links, resources, and recipes for all things saffron. And that's our program for today. Once again, thank you for joining us Across the Fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.